This is the River Ribble. It flows through the heart of the city of Preston. Preston is famous for very many things, and just one of those things is a certain piece of road that is synonymous in British road history. Let's discuss it. On the trucker's eye! Oh, and we'll also tell you what this is about.
Preston!
The future.
Who knew that you could link Preston with Back to the Future the movie? And that's because, once upon a time, Preston was the future. This is Fishergate in the middle of Preston.
Ooh la la! Ooh la la!
Now when I make these videos, I do a bit of research and I usually come up with a few little good ideas about what the video should entail. In the case of Preston, I was absolutely bowled over by how interesting it was. Now I know if I was to say to a lot of you, it's finger-licking good, you would know exactly what that meant.
Bring home the great taste of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
So come on, it's a finger-licking Kentucky Fried Chicken, a finger-licking good day.
Did you know that Preston was the future for the Kentucky Fried Chicken brand in the UK? KFC opened their first UK branch in 1965, right here where today's store still stands. It would take another decade for the likes of McDonald's and Burger King to arrive on these shores. There's something else that I wanted to show you, which is just around the corner from this market square. Take a look at this. This is awesome. Obviously, I'm being a little bit facetious. Normally standing here is a row of 9 telephone boxes. 8 of them are pretty close together and one just stands away from the other 8. This is the longest continuous row of old style red public phone boxes. And they are grade 2 listed. They have recently been taken away to be refurbished. Preston has an abundance of fantastic architecture, not least our next place that we go to visit. This is St Walbers Church and it marks the highest point in Preston. You can see it from almost anywhere around the city. The spire itself stands at an impressive 309 feet tall, which is just under 95 metres. The spire is actually the highest of any parish church in England and the third tallest of any church in the country, with only spires of Norwich Cathedral and Salisbury Cathedral reaching higher. I do believe that on certain days you can actually go up the spire. This is not for the faint-hearted, as you can see in the video going on at the moment. Some people, though, take it all a bit too far. Delete as appropriate. This is the lunatic, or the legend, that is Fred Dibnah, standing on top of this church. This church was built on the site of a former leper hospital. Any excuse to play Metallica. And the church also boasts the heaviest bell anywhere in Lancashire at 1.5 tonnes. A second excuse to play Metallica. And that rather large bell brings us neatly to a very small bell and our next clip.
Bicycle, bicycle.
This is Preston's first of a kind Cyclops Junction.
Bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle.
Do you know what a Cyclops Junction is? It actually stands for Cycle Optimised Protected Signals. And these types of junctions are starting to appear in many of the UK's cities. I actually think that this tends to work quite well for pedestrians and cyclists. However, the £1.8 million price tag just for one junction does seem a trifle expensive. I'm a cyclist too, but looking at this cyclist, what's the point of putting this infrastructure in if they aren't going to use it properly? Just keep your eye on this cyclist as he rides the wrong way down the cycle lane. That cycle lane is heading towards Preston. But what happens when it's weather like this? As you've probably already gathered, I've been to this location twice now. The first time it was snowing and it was unfair to show you how many bikes were using this at this time. But even filming during the hours of 8 AM and 9 AM on a Monday morning, you'd think there'd be a lot more cyclists using it on their daily commute. Now, many of you will be aware that Preston has its own football team, Preston North End. They were one of the founders of the Football League, and it's here in Preston that the English Football League's headquarters is based. And with Preston North End being a founding member of the Football League, you might say that Preston played a major part in the future of football. There's no doubt though that Preston was at the forefront of the future of roads. Now unfortunately, we haven't got that far with flying cars and roads in the sky.
The skyway's jammed. It's going to take us forever to get there.
Now flying cars and skyways may be in our future to come, but in 1958, something that we take for granted in this day and age was the future, and the first one was in Preston. And here it is, the Preston Bypass, or as you and I know it today, the M6 motorway. The Preston Bypass was originally opened in 1958. It was Britain's first ever motorway. Today, it is part of the M6. There are a lot of videos around on YouTube if you want to go and have a look at them. And some of them were quite funny. Let's take a look.
Models of the Preston Bypass scheme give an impression of the new road as it will be. Over 8 miles long, it will be the first motorway to be built in Britain. The traffic signal gives the all clear, and without delay, a bulldozer goes ahead regardless of anything on its route.
Something I would like to do in the truck from time to time. Maybe modern day road building could learn something from this method.
Well, this is it, the shape of motoring to come. The start of a scheme which will intersect Britain with a road system second to none.
Well, whatever happened to that kind of positivity? The majority of Britain's motorways were built between the 1950s and 1970s. Can you imagine where we would be without all them motorways being built across those 3 decades. The first 1,000 miles of motorway had already been built by the time 1972 came around. That was just 14 years after the Preston Bypass opened in 1958. But in the 50 years between 1972 and 2022, according to the government's own website, only a further 1,300 miles of motorway have been built. Is it any wonder why traffic jams are so prevalent on today's motorways? And that's the question I have for you today. Do you think that the UK builds enough roads? I do hope you've enjoyed this edition of The Trucker's Eye. In the beginning of the episode, I mentioned I'd tell you what this was all about. Well, back in 1990, a local band from Preston called Zentrix decided to make a cover version of a certain song. It was in fact a cover of this.
Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters!
Now of course that was Ray Parker Jr. and a song called Ghostbusters. In 1989, Columbia Pictures released a follow-up film called Ghostbusters 2. And as you can now see on the screen, this was the actual cover they used for Ghostbusters 2. However, those merry japesters in the band Zentrix released their single with its own cover, which was a play on the Ghostbusters 2 cover. Let's just say it didn't go down well with the guys at Columbia Pictures. The band were then forced to reissue the single with a completely different cover. The song went on to be played a lot on MTV.
Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! But something weird and they don't look good. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters!
And with that controversy came a lot of new fans. The audio of
Preston!
came from a show that the band played in their hometown, which they released on a CD. I do hope you've enjoyed this video about
Preston!
and if you have, then please give it a thumbs up, as it helps me out with the channel and pushes the video out further to new viewers. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you to all my current subscribers. I'll see you all next time on The Trucker's Eye.